Hey guys, in today's video, we'll go over how to install a C-rail for a sliding door in our Flex series. This video will apply to both non-full height doors and full height doors. In this video, I'll be using a non-full height sliding door application for the C-rail installation. If you have a full height sliding door, the installation concept will be the same. If you have any questions on how to frame for a non-full height sliding door or a full height sliding door, please reference the videos on the framing installation for those situations. Another thing you need to make sure is that all of the solid panels and the glass panels installed, as well as all of the trim. The C-rail will be mounting directly to the trim, therefore it needs to be in place prior to installing the C-rail. Here's the C-rail that is used for sliding doors in our Flex series. The C-rails will come pre-cut and pre-drilled based on the specifics of your project. The C-rail will have 4 holes pre-drilled and pre-countersunked to accept the C-rail screws that will attach the C-rail to the framing. There will be a small pilot hole on each end of the C-rail that will be used to accept the door stops. There will also be holes drilled on the top of the C-rail for the soft close triggers. Now, if your project does not have soft close units, the soft close trigger holes will still be drilled. The soft close trigger holes will also be the indicator for the top of the C-rail. So when you're installing the C-rail, you need to make sure that the soft close trigger holes are on the top of the C-rail. Now, there may be situations where there are no holes pre-drilled into the C-rail. If you have that situation, please give us a call. We do have instructions on how to prep the C-rail for installation. Before installing the C-rail, I wanted to go over how the C-rail will mount to the framing. The C-rail will attach through the trim and into the horizontal stud using the C-rail screws we provide. For non-full height sliding door applications, the bottom of the C-rail will need to be flush with the bottom edge of the Flex trim. For full height sliding door applications, the C-rail will need to be flush with the bottom edge of the Genesis trim. When placing the C-rail, you need to make sure that the C-rail will overlap the vertical Flex trim on the closed side of the door opening. The end of the C-rail will need to be flush with the opposite side of that Flex trim. Now in this case, I'm up against an existing wall, therefore the C-rail is going to butt up against the wall. In the situation where you have a C-rail in the center of the opening, you need to make sure that the end of the C-rail is flush with the opposite side of the vertical Flex trim. For full height sliding door applications, you'll need to reference the Flex trim underneath the horizontal framing to determine where that C-rail needs to go. The reason why we overlap the trim is to make sure that the door, when it is closed, it overlaps the vertical stud. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and install the C-rail. To install the C-rail, we'll place the C-rail against the framing as we just discussed. We also need to make sure the soft close trigger holes are at the top of the C-rail. Again, we'll place the C-rail so that it is flush with the bottom edge of the trim, as well as overlapping the vertical trim on the closed side of the door opening. Once mocked in place, take a hand clamp to temporarily secure the C-rail to the framing. With the C-rail temporarily secured, we can now attach the C-rail to the framing. To attach the C-rail to the framing, we'll use C-rail screws. C-rail screws are 1.5" taper-headed screws. To install the C-rail screws, we'll need to pre-drill holes through the center of the countersunk holes on the C-rail using a 5/32 drill bit. When pre-drilling the holes, make sure to get through the trim and into the stud. Once the holes have been pre-drilled, you can then run the C-rail screw so the head of the C-rail screw is flush with the inside of the C-rail. You'll need to repeat this process for all of the holes in the C-rail. Something to keep in mind is to make sure the bottom of the C-rail remains flush with the bottom edge of the trim. Once all the holes have been drilled, you also need to make sure to clean out all of the debris from the inside of the C-rail. With the C-rail screws installed, the installation of the C-rail is complete. This will conclude the video. If you have any questions, please contact our office.